5 minutes. Two minutes. One minute. The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program. It is September the 19th. You're with the Editor-in-Chief live with Lester's Oil, your multi-ingredient omega-3 healthy aging supplement backed by thousands of satisfied customers. Get the benefits of 6 supplements in one capsule to support joint, heart and brain health. Take as directed, read the label. About Health Auckland. G'day folks, I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome to the program. Great to have your company this morning. Get involved. Leave us a message. On the show today, the man and his group who want to build a $3 billion bridge across Auckland harbour. Let's build it and get over it. Forget the largesse of a $20 or $30 billion tunnel. That would take decades, he says. This can be done in 10 years. But we've got to get going. When, how, why and what. And Garth Falconer from Reset is the who, and he joins us shortly. And meet Ellie Stone, the trained Iranian biologist who helps place prisoners and recovering addicts and refugees into jobs. A fair society, she says, is one that doesn't leave people behind. She joins me shortly. And could we lose the Bledisloe to Australia? Not possible, is it? We're not that bad, are we? Anyway, it's news time. Here's MediaWorks Deputy News Editor. It is Grace Cocker. Very good morning.
The government is aware of a document proposing the terms of release for a Kiwi pilot kidnapped in West Papua. The rebel group wants New Zealand to help facilitate Philip Merton's escort. A spokesperson for the Minister of Foreign Affairs says the focus remains on a peaceful resolution. Mertens was kidnapped in February last year after landing a plane in a remote region. Grim details are emerging of the injuries suffered in a second deadly attack against Hezbollah in Lebanon. More than 20 have been killed and thousands injured in explosions from walkie-talkies and pagers. CNN's Ben Wiedemann spoke with a surgeon.
Missing fingers, faces mutilated by blasts, all the victims, young men in their 20s and 30s.
Communities battling mass job cuts from the closure of North Island pulp mills are urged to band together. There are concerns for mental health, with hundreds of roles being slashed. Clinical psychologist Dougal Sutherland is encouraging people to lean on each other.
It's not just you, there's a whole bunch of other people in that situation. Keep talking to the other people that are affected.
The jury in the trial of retired Auckland eye surgeon Philip Polkinghorne is set to revisit key pieces of evidence this morning. He's accused of killing his wife Pauline Hanna in their Remuera home in 2021. As RNZ News reports, jurors have asked to re-listen to Polkinghorne's 111 call and an audio recording of Ms Hanna. Plastic container giant Tupperware has filed for bankruptcy. This is to keep itself operational while it seeks a buyer. In sport, Sri Lanka are 302 for 7 after the opening day of the first cricket test against the Black Caps in Galle. Fast bowler Will O'Rourke taking 3 wickets.
Just a little bit of bounce in the wicket. It was just trying to run in hard and seemed to work.
To Rugby's NPC and a popular win in Palmerston North.
Yossi sends it away to Brown, and there it is for Manawa 2.
The Turbos scoring a try after the full-time hooter to beat Southland 26-21 on Sky Sport for their first win of the season. And the All Blacks named their team for Saturday's Bledisloe Cup test in Sydney at 9 a.m. Ethan Blackadder, Caleb Clark, Ethan de Groot and Patrick Tuipulotu are all available again. That's your news in sport.
That's frightening, these pages and these...
Terrifying. The walkie-talkies now?
Blowing up. So
there's 14 dead in this latest one and hundreds injured. There was about 14 dead yesterday with thousands injured. So Israel has not necessarily said we are the ones behind it, but they've kind of made some hints saying the war is now progressing and heading into the north. And I mean, this is 2 massive attacks against a big terror group as well.
It's a big terror group. And also, so this will reach into the civilian population because the first of all, it was paper that blew up.
Pages,
pages.
Yeah,
Pages
yesterday. So, and I mean, that killed a kid.
Yeah, I know. So you got
and that's really
dead.
sad. And that's, there was one woman who said yesterday she was driving and she just saw people like collapsing on the street. 'Cause there's a lot of Hezbollah people on Lebanon. There's a lot.
Correct. Yeah, and then so walkie-talkies. I mean,
but like the sophistication of that.
Yeah.
Imagine what they could do with iPhones.
So where's that come from?
Well, they purposely said stay away from iPhones because you could be tracked, and so they got all these pages and walkie-talkies in.
Yes,
and
it's a fake. You see, they sent them down the wrong path. God, it's frightening.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, okay, 170,000 vehicles use the Auckland Harbour Bridge every day. 170,000. She's a dog. Just holding on, really, that's what it's doing. The design no longer works. High winds, closed lanes, fit for purpose maybe in 1970, but this is 2024, right? And more than 1 million people have arrived in Auckland since this thing was built. Politicians have dragged the chain. No one has got the guts, the balls, the vision to actually say, this is what we need. Here's how we'll pay for it, so let's go. Labor bravely signed up to a tunnel costing tens of billions before it lost the election. It knew it would never have to build it, you see. Garth Falconer from Reset Urban Design has designed structures, city centres, waterfronts all over the world and here at home, and says his group has a bridge design. So let's get on with it. Garth, g'day mate, nice to have you on the program.
Good morning, Duncan.
Yeah, this has been, how long have you lived in Auckland for, on and off over the years?
I moved up from Hamilton when I was 18 or 19 to go to university. Yeah. So we're talking almost 40 years.
Yeah, and that bridge, and I've been here on and off for 50. So that bridge, does it look any different to you compared to when we were kids?
No, it was opened in 1959. It hasn't really changed other than the clip-ons were put on in 1969.
And the tolls were taken off it.
That's right, I remember those.
And then there's been 1 million people plus that have arrived in Auckland, and we've still got the same transfer, the bridge, to the North Shore and back. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is. It's funny though. It's a bit of an icon, isn't it? I've always, it's quite an elegant structure. I've always thought it kind of bookends the rangatoto, the profile.
Correct. Yes.
The coat hanger sort of profile.
Fit for purpose. These guys are hanging off it every day, trying to keep it up, aren't they? There's all sorts of things going on there. Yeah. What would your bridge look like? How possible is it? When could it happen? All those questions.
Yeah, so the idea is that to be a complementary structure to the existing bridge. So Auckland Harbour Bridge has got this vertical profile, the coat hanger, as I talked about. So the idea is to have something that has a low profile, but in plan view has that arc.
Right, so it sits beside it as an arc type thing.
Yeah, and it sits outside of it. It gives it room. If we put a bridge slap bang next to it, it's going to screen it.
Yes.
It's going to compete with it.
Yes.
So the idea is, you give it some respect, you give it some sort of distance. But the idea also is that the landings are really important. The tie-ins, how you tie it in.
Yes.
So the idea is that you splay out from Point Erin heading north, out from the Auckland Harbour Bridge, and then you curve back in at the base of Northcote Point.
Right.
Northcote Point is, as you know, as a North Shore boy, is this quite narrow peninsula.
It really is. Full of houses.
Yeah, full of houses. And if you put a bridge right next to it, you're going to swamp it. You know,
Yes.
you're going to monster it. So the idea is to sensitively, surgically sort of weave this new big piece of infrastructure through Northcote Point and then merge on the other side where
Where the motorway is.
Yeah, where what used to be called Sulphur Beach.
Yes, yeah, I
this
know the
big
one.
wide thing.
Yeah.
And we can go from there.
So how do you surgically get through those houses at Northcote Point? You've got Fisherman's Wharf, you've got a few houses there. So how do you surgically you knock on doors and saying, hey, we've got, how many lanes will it be? How many lanes?
It needs to be at least 6 lanes.
Okay, so 3 each way. So 6 lanes.
So
it's a one-way bridge, isn't it?
It's taking northbound
Yes.
traffic using the Auckland Harbour Bridge for
Yes.
southbound
So
traffic.
6 lanes one way. Wow, this is terrific. And do you tunnel under the houses?
You can do. You could bore through. It's similar. It's very similar to Victoria Park,
Yeah.
or at the top of the Puhoi motorway.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah,
Where you
Yep.
basically can bore through. It's about a 10-metre diameter that
Right.
you need to bore through, and that headland's about 25. So we've got lots of space, lots of headroom there.
So the current bridge would be southbound, and the new bridge would be northbound.
Yes, and the southbound bridge, it's 8 lanes at the moment.
Yes.
We take 6. Give 1 to public transport so the buses can get through.
Yes.
And you got 5, which is the maximum when you have the concrete barrier there. It relieves 2 lanes, 8 metres wide on the eastern side for walking and cycling.
Yeah, because Auckland in 2024, 25, 26, we're going to need to walk, cycle, and get to work. That will be a game changer.
Yes.
And to have a city, a modern city, that you can't cross the harbour on your bike or on your feet is backwards. So this is where the game changing bit comes, isn't it?
That and public transport. And I think also this will be a must see viewing point for people to visit Auckland.
Of course. Because who gets out to Rangitoto Island? You know, I've been once in 50 years. Shameful. You know?
The views up there are the best of the city.
Of course, yeah, but no one goes. So, okay, so how much?
How much? Looking at precedents overseas, and there's been some recent ones, taking into account the landings and the repurposing of the Auckland Harbour Bridge, I believe it's going to cost around $2 to $2.5 billion. Now that's a relatively conservative figure.
It's cheaper than the CBD rail tunnel.
Yeah. Bridges are actually very economical to build, and this one
is your landings that cost the money, is it?
Is a bit, the tie-ins,
yes,
and the Northcote one is there's going to be a bit of work around that.
Well, a few houses might have to go. Yeah, that's always difficult. Okay, so how long would it take to build, and would you use the fast track legislation?
Well, that's a good point. We do have this glimmer of hope with the fast track legislation to put through projects of national significance. So this I think would qualify.
Totally, wouldn't it? If this doesn't qualify, nothing does. Yeah.
And there's been recently a similar bridge in Croatia, 2.4 kilometres long. This new bridge would be 2.
Yep.
Was built in 4 years, opened in 2022.
So who built that?
The Chinese did.
Would we do something similar?
Well, we've got the know-how and the resources here to do it locally.
Right.
But I think, a project this size could be internationally tendered.
Yeah. And probably should be.
Yeah. But only 4 years. I mean, we could be walking and cycling across Auckland's harbour by the end of this decade.
So, and that's the best case scenario. But we need politicians with some guts, some gonads, some balls, and some will. And I've followed these guys for decades now, and they talk a game every now and then, but no one's committed a cent to this thing, and no one's committed themselves to anything like this, have they? Really,
they're kicking the can down the road. It's been in the hands of NZTA, the transport agency, for over 20 years now.
I know. And what have they done? I mean, even the Sky Path.
Yes.
Was that you as well?
Yes.
That was a brilliant idea. Yeah. And we've talked about it for since Len Brown was there, I think.
Yeah. That was using innovative composite materials.
Why can't we do anything in this country? Why does it take so long?
Yeah, well, I think it's a lack of vision and a lack of commitment to back vision. That Skypath thing was costed at $55 million.
Yeah, mention it now. What would it cost now?
Well, maybe 80 or 90 is probably gone up. But they then spent $60 million on consultants for that northern bridge.
I know that didn't happen.
Yeah, and that sky
$60
path.
million on a bridge that never went
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. It's pretty sad.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Good on you. Good luck. The politicians have had much reaction to it?
Well, the only politician that I've been able to talk to so far, bless him, is the mayor. I reached out to them, and he replied, and I've had a couple of really good discussions with him and his advisors. And
he's an engineer, isn't he?
He is an engineer, and he's looking at other solutions. And I like the idea of multiple crossings. And I think I mentioned in the media earlier about the president of San Francisco with its 7 bridges.
Yes.
And he's looking down at Moyola Reef. Now, there are merits for that. It would get maybe that bypass traffic away from the central city, the choke point.
Yes.
But it would go through established suburbs. And
it's almost like they're too scared to commit to anything. So a CBD rail tunnel, someone committed to that, so it went ahead. Despite all sorts of questions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to build.
You do. Well, we've got another idea, and this is for a third bridge, and we're calling it the Causeway Bridge, and it would be west of Point Chevalier and go directly across, linking Waterview, State Highway 20, directly through to Green Height,
Up harbour there, yeah.
And it would cut 5 kilometres off the north-south passage going through the central city.
It's incredible. And all these, I went to Tauranga the other day, the number of trucks on our roads, because COVID, I was at home for a long time. I never really got out,
Yeah.
So to get out there and see what the society's like again, it's pretty demanding. It's pretty full on, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we can get stuff, because half the traffic that goes across Harbour Bridge isn't going to the CBD. It goes to South Auckland.
That's right. If you look at overall, Auckland's got this north-south orientation, but when you get to the central city, you've got the Waitemata Harbour coming across east-west, big water body, and then you've got a ring road. So all I'm suggesting is with this causeway is we just have a direct link across.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, all the best. We better get moving, but people are saying to me here on the text messages, well needed, hope it happens and not just talked about. So,
I'm really chuffed with the public support we're getting for this idea, and I hope this gets through to the politicians.
Well, I support you. I think it's a great idea. As an Aucklander, man, let's just get on with it. Appreciate your time. Cheers, Garth.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, take care.
3 questions from the editor-in-chief.
Okay, thanks for your feedback so far. And at number one today, how frightening is this? First it was the pages, now the walkie-talkies and other handheld devices randomly blowing up in Lebanon. This is an attack on Hezbollah, but it's spilled over into the streets where the people are and onto the civilians. It's outright declaration of war, isn't it? It's Israel, isn't it? And we nervously stand by for what happens next.
2.
At number 2, and now we wait. Did Philip Polkinghorne murder his wife? 11 jurors will now decide if he did or if he walks free. Has his lawyer left an element of doubt or beyond reasonable doubt? Personally, I can't see how they can convict him. There's just so much doubt, isn't there? Yes, he's guilty of drug use and bonking around, but does that make him a killer? We'll soon see.
3.
Number 3, the world has been waiting for this for some time. The US Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, has started to cut interest rates. This is the first cut in 4 years. When they move, the world takes notice. So is the recovery on? Well, you'd have to say tentatively yes.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah. Israel, you're telling me it's Israel. Israel's atrocious. The rogue killer monstrosity is what you're telling me on the text. Yeah. Go toting is what you're saying. Right, now, Ellie Stone is in the business of helping people who struggle a bit in society. She helps former prisoners and recovering addicts and refugees find jobs and get work when many simply don't want to open the door or they look the other way. Her philosophy is society can't punish people forever. And with this government aiming to put more people behind bars, one day they'll be released. And who is there to pick up the pieces? They don't simply go away, these people. So who would have thought a trained biologist who came from Iran to New Zealand 27 years ago would be spearheading this compassionate and difficult job? And we've got her on the program this morning. Ellie, g'day, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, thank you.
Well
so
done
much.
you, aren't you amazing doing great things?
Oh, that's very kind. As I have the idea of supporting community, local. I know that we have so many people from other countries that they're trying to move to New Zealand and have a better life, but I believe we need to support our local. and especially the people that they don't have a chance to do what they want to do in their life and for their families.
So what sort of people are you dealing with? What sort of people?
I'm dealing with 501s, people that they came back from overseas to New Zealand because of what they've done outside of New Zealand, and also people that they get released from prison, and also people that they are going to prison but I offer them a job and they stay at home with their family and on home detention.
What's society like in terms of welcoming them in for work? Is it hard to find them jobs?
It is very difficult to offer a job to these people because even though they've been punished, but when they get released from prison, it's just like that society expecting them to run run a marathon without legs.
Yeah.
They don't support them. So when they have a chance to work for someone and they show to the community how good they could be, it makes make a huge change in their future.
Because do you have many companies that put their hand up and say, hey, I'll take one, or I'll take one? It must be hard to find the companies.
For first time, there is no way if they can find a job. But when they come and work for us, and then we provide the opportunity to support these people, and all the responsibility is on us if something goes wrong. So because of the trust that other clients have to us, they offer them a job.
Do many people let you down?
There are some people that they may do that, but we are very pushy, and we make sure that we can just tell them what we want to do. I'll go to many people and looking for opportunity for these guys, because I believe that we have to have a holistic solutions, provide education, employment and housing for these people.
Because a lot of these guys, they come out of prison, and I've dealt with a lot of these guys too over the years with this job, and they're dyslexic, they've been locked up for 10 years, the communication's really hard for them, no one trusts them, but they don't want to go back to prison. I mean, they're not all recidivist offenders, they don't always go back, they just want a chance, a shot. Some of them have never even been told that someone loves them, that's how bad it is for some of them. So once you get them into a job, I've seen this up north, it can be life-changing, can't it?
It's absolutely true. So many people are telling me, I have a good relationship with my guys. They even come to my house. People are saying, how can you do that? And I said, you show them respect, you get that respect back from them.
So that's my philosophy in life, actually. How you treat people is how you get treated yourself.
You're absolutely right.
And you want to talk to people badly, and you want to treat people badly, watch it come back to you.
You're absolutely right. I've got my guys that they text me every morning. They're telling me, good morning, boss. And I say, I'm not your boss. We're team workers. But if somebody tell them off outside of work area and tell them, I'm your boss, they get angry. Why? Yeah. Because we are all human. We are all equal.
And that's the other thing too. Like some of these guys have all sorts of issues, anger, drugs, alcohol dependency, all that sort of thing. So they will respect you because you've given them opportunity. But if someone treats them badly outside of that, then they might react badly.
That's absolutely true. One Wednesday I was in a court with one of the very lovely lady. She's an amazing judge. And then we were discussing that these people, that they are addicted. Addiction it's a problem, like a mental health
disease, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a crime. So we're giving them opportunity to have a home detention, go through lots of rehab, and also working for their families. And that's amazing. So if everybody support these people, we can have a better community.
Why did you come here 27 years ago? What was your motivation?
I came here for a study, and then I decided we're supposed to come back to Iran after a few months, but we stayed here, and I loved it. New Zealand is an amazing country. I believe people that they were born here, they're luckiest people. People like me who's immigrant and they live here, we're lucky to be accepted by this community. But even normal people, when they come from a different culture, they have different mindset and they do different things. We all need chance, education and everything.
Yeah, I wonder if we're complacent about our country because, with the issues in Iran and certainly with the uprising around women a number of years ago, probably every year, but what we saw anyway, maybe we're complacent about our country and the place that we live in. Maybe we take it for granted.
You're absolutely right. If you leave, like I've been 10 years old when in my country we had revolution, I was 12 years old when we had war, and when I came here and I started living my life, people were telling me, how can you do that? And I said, you don't know the meaning of war. You don't know the meaning of living in a country that they tell you, just go outside of your classroom, we call you back, and then they say, go home, and you came back after a few months, and it's a totally new life, new government, everything.
Yeah.
You guys are lucky.
What about as a woman in Iran?
As a woman in Iran, when I was in Iran, it was very, very difficult. You can hear about everything about what's happening with women in Iran compared with the time that I was. Now it's even better than that time. So we had to sit in a classroom with a scarf in a hot weather because we had to train how to cover ourselves, our hair, not talking with guys. That sort of things is like, you can write a book about it, actually.
Yeah. Do you go back?
I've been in Iran 2 times, but since 2000, my family are all living here. So because of that, I don't have to go back home.
No. Would you be accepted if you went back there? Would they look sideways at you?
I don't think so. I guess I would be stuck in the airport and they're going to ask me hundreds of questions. Why you didn't come back? What are you doing there? And that sort of questions, so I don't bother.
Well, would they consider you a defector and not trustworthy, is it?
Absolutely correct.
My
yes.
goodness.
Yes.
Could you do this and to do the job you do here in Iran? Could you
No,
go
I can't.
No.
There is no way if I can do that. Women are second citizen in Iran. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to meet you. How many people do you think you put into work here?
From last year up to now, I've got 73 people in Auckland, and I've got around over 20 people outside of Auckland.
That's fantastic. See, that's life-changing stuff, isn't it?
It is life-changing, and it's rewarding. So it's not about money. It's about the changes and the stories that you can create in your life.
Yeah. Do you what sort of jobs are they that they go into?
Construction, basically construction site, because many of these people need to be supervised, and in construction sites there is always a supervisor, and it's good.
Yeah. I've just got a text in here from Moana who says, Duncan, she understands sorrow and has a big heart. Good on you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah. So human behaviour is interesting, isn't it? So you've dedicated your life to pretty much to make other people's lives better.
Thank you so much, Duncan, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All the best. We'll catch up again, eh?
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Duncan Garner,
Bye.
live.
Okay, so, the Bledisloe Cup. Thank you, Ellie. Sonny Bill Williams has called it, and I think he's right. And I think it's finally time New Zealand Rugby dropped its forever stance of refusing to pick New Zealand rugby players who play overseas. I think SPW's got it right. For years, the lure of the All Black jersey was considered enough to keep people here. And those who went walked away from the chance to play for the All Blacks, right? So far, it's worked. But in the last couple of years, with the All Blacks faltering and losing more games in 2 years than we've lost in the previous 20 years, people have started to search for not only what the problem is, but what might be a possible solution, you see. And the All Blacks are taught no loss is acceptable and we don't lose. But we've started to quite often, have you noticed? It's becoming a habit that no one really likes. So when Razor took over, there was much hope that things would be different. But he too has struggled, snuck past England somehow. Lost to Argentina, demolished Argentina, lost to South Africa twice. In the last 20 minutes of both those games, we failed to score 1 point. Right? And that's unheard of. I mean, you are unlikely to win test matches by being scoreless in the last 20 minutes. This is the problem. And so often the All Blacks crush teams in the final 20 minutes through unrelenting pressure and speed and a bench that blows away a team that doesn't have our depth in rugby. Except that's no longer the case. And South Africa is setting the standard and are clearly the world's best team. Clearly the world's best team. We're no longer the best. We're no longer the fastest, the fittest, or the best at closing out games with a superior team and tactics and execution. We just aren't. And one of the first things Razor did when he got to the All Black coaching job was to fly to Japan to catch up with Richie Mo'unga, former AB First Five. It's no secret Razor wants to pick players who play overseas, but the Rugby Union so far refused to grant him that wish. The pressure's on, and it's hurting us. Look, South Africa have a huge number of their guys who play in England. They then picked them for their country. And for decades, South Africa had our policy. They didn't pick players elsewhere. But they saw the folly in it in the game where players travel overseas to earn big money while they're in their prime. And they relaxed the rules, and they've been the best side in the world since. The facts don't lie. But imagine if we could select from overseas Richie Mo'unga, Shannon Frizzell, first choice players, Charles Piatel, fullback, superstar. Would he have made it? But would that decimate our rugby, our super rugby sides? And who would be left? I mean, possibly no one. What sort of competition is it now anyway? Is it truly gripping and amazing and working for us? And look what's happened to the NPC. A once great competition has been decimated, right, by the Rugby Union. No one now cares. No one turns up. Rugby Union here is at a crossroads, I reckon. Rugby's got to innovate and fight for their position in society, I reckon. For too long it was handed to them in a country mad on rugby. But the face of New Zealand's changed. Our population's different. Rugby must compete with sports that are becoming more popular thanks to the changing face of New Zealand and in a world that's been turned upside down. down by technology. So they've got to fight for their position in society. And I'm not even sure rugby knows how to. Maybe rugby got complacent and thought the masses would keep flocking. Maybe they thought, well, rugby could serve up some excitement one day, but they've got to fight for this stuff. You pay through the nose for the game, so what sort of product is it? Right now, it's battling. Is there someone in charge that knows what to do? I'm not sure they do. Rugby's at a crossroads. Who will take it by the scruff of the neck and start making some bold changes, starting with maybe picking the All Blacks from overseas teams? Good morning.
Duncan Garner, live.
Now, someone who knows all about rugby, to forget what I said, Martin Devlin, he knows Bledisloe, he knows everything. The best sports broadcaster in the country is with me now. Marty, g'day, mate.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's very flattering indeed. Look, what do I know about rugby? I'm just, a fan like everyone else. And I agree with some of what you say, Duncan, and I disagree with other bits of it. Look, in terms of where New Zealand rugby is at, you're spot on at the moment. I mean, it's a real crisis. And we've got a CEO who's just come back from, another jaunt to South Africa and to London, where he's shaking hands, making plans. He's proposing meetings and having talks about those proposals, and then having meetings to talk about the proposals about the meetings. I'd like to ask Mark Robinson in a year's time. So all of those shaking hands and making plans and Silicon Valley this and Silicon Valley that you did in San Diego, show me some contracts. Show me what actually happened. Apart from sitting down and having a few late night drinks with a whole lot of people who are in the same position as you, what exactly did you achieve? So let's park that for a second, because I don't believe the current administration in New Zealand rugby is the administration to take us forward. And I don't know anyone that actually does. Look, in terms of what Sonny Bill Williams has raised, it's not the first time somebody's raised this. And he does make some good points. Look, the thing about the All Blacks and what you and me and our generation have grown up with is the All Blacks aren't a let's look for next year team. Let's wait for 2 years team. Let's develop stuff for the next World Cup team. The All Blacks are about winning today and winning today and winning today. The only currency that the All Blacks have got to sell is the fact that they have been the world's most consistent team over 100 years. They've got an 80% winning record. And that's it. They have to keep winning. And at the moment, look, the reality of it is our team is just not quite good enough. And Duncan, here's a great stat for you. In 2017, we celebrated the anniversary of this week. We beat the Springboks 57-0 at North Harbour.
I know.
Now 10 members of that 23 are still in the playing 23 for the All Blacks. That's 8 years ago. Now, after 8 years at international rugby, and the guys like Ardie Savea, McKenzie, Bowden Barrett, these are the names. If you have not got to a stage where you are the world's best player in your position after 8 years of international rugby, you're never going to. That's just the truth of it, isn't it? So, Ardie Savea, greatest player in the world last year, I acknowledge that. But you look at a guy like Damien McKenzie, Anton Leonard-Brown, Rico Ioane. These guys have been there now for 8 years as All Blacks. Are they improving year upon year? Are they getting better year upon year? Are these guys legitimately the best players in the world in their positions? And the answer at the moment is no. Now, let's go back to the depth thing, okay, because that's really important. You're exactly right. Super Rugby is no longer the breeding ground for All Blacks. It is no longer the competition that gets our players ready to play teams like the Springboks, because we just don't physically get the competition. So now it all turns around. I'm trying to lay a bit of a template here. Now it all turns around too. Do we select the very best players from all across the world because they are the best players that we have at the moment? Now, in my mind, and for I think most people in my generation, the only thing I care about is the All Blacks winning today. Yeah. I don't care about developing for the future, because in 2 or 3 years' time, we've lost another 6 or 7 tests. Duncan, we're losing 3 tests a year at the moment on average. That's the last 5 years for the All Blacks. That's got to be unacceptable, doesn't it? I mean, when the All Blacks get to a stage where, we've dropped another test match. We've lost again. There's another loss. We aren't the All Blacks anymore. We aren't. The All Blacks are about winning. And so in my mind, if I'm Razor, I'm thinking, if I want that guy for this team today because he's going to help me win this test match, the answer's got to be yes, let's make it happen.
Yeah. Well said. And I'm sick of hearing this, Buddy. We've got some great learnings out of today. I'm sick of learnings in the last 5 years. What have we learned? What are we learning? Anton Leonard-Brown's played 70 test matches for the All Blacks.
Yeah.
He can't command a starting position. Every now and then they decide that he can and he gets put in there. Ioane's probably a winger. Ardie Savea, what is he, a 7 or an 8? We're still having these discussions, as you rightly say, 8 years on. Pick the best players. You'd pick Shannon Frizzell today. You'd pick Richie Mo'unga today. Who else? Is there anyone else out there? There's 2. That's pretty good.
Look, the learnings are we're learning to lose. And I think every time we lose, what it does is it dulls us into accepting that it's okay to lose. Remember, this is the All Blacks here. This isn't the Warriors. This isn't the White Ferns. This isn't teams that are used to losing. And it seems have an acceptance of losing. Because as long as, for example, with the White Ferns, we continuously get told, don't we, that as long as the girls are having fun, got a smile on their face, the culture's great, that's all that matters. Well, that's not professional sport. As far as the Warriors go, they are absolutely brilliant at their marketing and PR, but on the field this year was an absolute disaster, and no one wants to talk about that.
Yes.
All they want to talk about is selling jerseys, selling out stadiums, and, opening a new bar. As far as the All Blacks are concerned, we have raised the bar. That is what the All Blacks are about. The All Blacks are about being the number one team in the world, and you can't be the number one team when you lose three test matches every year. Now, look, I'm not bemoaning the fact that South Africa are better than us at the moment. That's cyclical. That happens. You got to remember, we weren't too far away from those guys. We led by close. 10 minutes with 10 points, 18 minutes to go in Joburg. We had a handy penalty to go ahead in Cape Town. These are the minor things that happen in test matches. In past years, we
close games out, Marty. We win those games.
We do win those games. So you're talking about, look, I'm not so sure a guy like Shannon Frizzell moves the dial. He was monstrous last year for us, mostly. Up until then, he was really inconsistent.
Yeah, true.
Richie Mwanga would be the best first five that we have at the moment. I agree with that one. I think if I was making changes for this match, the team comes out in an hour, I would shift McKenzie out of number 10. He's had enough time this year, and he's not at that level that we need him to be.
But we knew that. We've known this for a number of years. It's why he never took the position. Come on, we know he's a great super player,
Yeah, that's it. He's a great Super Rugby player, but he's not a great international first five. It's incredible, isn't it, what the Springboks have done here, mate? And that, that 57-0 loss, and we'd never, ever accept that as All Black fans. They've absorbed that, and somehow they've come back so strong. They've won back-to-back World Cups. They've now got 30-something players that they can interchange. Duncan, they've put 10 new names in the side to play Argentina. 10. Now, remember, they did this against Australia. They beat them the first test. They put another 10 names in. Whether it would work for us, who knows? But I think that we've actually got to be open-minded enough to give it a try now and think, okay, look, if these guys are playing in the French competition, they're playing in the English competition, they're playing in the URC, good God, even the Japanese competition, because a fair few current Springboks are playing in that as well. If they're up to a certain standard, why the heck not? It just seems silly, doesn't it? New Zealand cricket's opened the door for the Black Caps. They can go and play wherever the heck they want to and come back and play for their country.
You've seen that. And now they become coaches in England. So, but I followed the first 15 rugby in Auckland. I watched the competition. I missed one game this year. There are some incredible young players around getting snapped up by league scouts as we speak. There is the most brilliant first 15 competition in the world here in Auckland. And yet, look at the state of Auckland NPC, look at the state of the All Blacks right now. Where are our brilliant players going? I don't know if we've got the personnel anymore, Marty.
Look, I think we always will have, and I think that, that is what is the beautiful thing about New Zealand rugby, and I feel incredibly positive always about our playing strengths. But what we lack is actually lack the competitive edge at the moment. Our guys don't get enough, I think, of the really elite level rugby.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think you've got to take a step forward or sideways to go, backwards or sideways to go 2 steps forward. And I think that this is what New Zealand rugby got to think about. Not every single player. But for example, this year, Adi Savia played in Japan, Sam Cane played in Japan, Bowden Barrett played in Japan. Those guys came back and played for the All Blacks. So you're just talking about, you're talking about rules that are being bent whenever they want them to bend, but they're not prepared to break those rules. So, if those guys can do that, why can't somebody else be selected? The other thing is, mate, is that, look, we've got a lot of players that should be playing in the Australian Super Rugby sides. And if they are playing in those sides, why can't they be selected for the All Blacks?
Yeah.
We're unless, of course, you're prepared to accept the situation where, as I said, the All Blacks lose 3, 4, 5 test matches a year. And I don't think, considering they're the only thing New Zealand rugby's got to sell, that New Zealand rugby wants that. But
we should have them there because
we're staring down the barrel of a super competition next year, which is the same old. The Aussie teams will be rubbish. The New Zealand teams are going to dominate. We already know this. And our guys get really good at beating each other, but they don't get enough quality competition against those that are actually better. And I think that's a problem.
And at the same time as that's happening, the South Africans fly to England as a team, effectively. South Africa A and South Africa A. They play for these clubs up in England, which are brutes when it comes to the forward play, and then they come back to international rugby and they smoke us. That's the change now. They are match fit. We're not ready.
Well, again, we were pretty close, but being an All Black, being pretty close isn't good enough. And that's, the level we've now got to get to. Look, we've got these 2 test matches against Australia, and we've really got to make a statement in these 2 test matches. And then from there, we've got 3 absolutely brutal away matches against England, Ireland, and France on the end-of-year tour. We could lose 5, even more, maybe 6 matches this year. I mean, welcome to the job, Razor. This is how difficult it is right now.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not entirely morbid about it. I just think that you've raised some things, and so is Sonny Bill, and these things deserve to be discussed. But the way that New Zealand rugby operates, mate, is that even if they discuss them, there's going to be a meeting, there's going to be a review, there's going to be an email tree. I mean, nothing's going to change. That's where the problem lies, I believe, is that the administration is just so hamstrung by its just own incompetence that nothing ever gets done, and nothing ever gets done quickly. If they want the All Blacks to be the best team in the world, then give the coach and give those people every available resource and tool that they need.
Yeah, and people here are saying, Marty, you're a straight talker. We love it. Good on you. Good man. Straight talking Marty. We love it. So that's good, man. Hey, we'll catch up again. Yep. I appreciate your time this morning, Marty.
Well, let's go and let's just beat the Jesus out of the Aussies this weekend and at least feel good about that.
Let's do what we used to do to them. You know, remember those days? We used to do it to them. They would fear us.
Daddy.
You know?
Come to Daddy. Get some of that. Get some of that.
Good on you, Marty. Appreciate it, mate. Take care.
All right.
Good on you, boss.
Duncan Garner, live.
Come to Daddy. That is us, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, live with Leicester All. There's a bit of a debate going on here online about Mia Forrester, about why we're going to evenings.
Yeah, I just put something in the chat there, just kind of talking to the audience.
We've looked at our audience, right? So we've looked at our YouTube profile, and at 7 p.m, it's dark purple, and at 7 a.m, it's light purple. Now, dark purple means, lots of people. Light purple means not as many people. So we're following a crowd, right?
Yeah, well, we've looked at the numbers, and everyone, I don't want to say everyone, but a lot of the audience is watching kind of later on, right?
Yeah.
So if we're going to do it live, and people want to kind of contribute to this show, which I think is the cool thing about it, we might as well be there when everyone's there.
Like it used to be. So this is how it used to be. So I started 30 years ago, right? And it used to be that we'd go on television or radio and we'd talk to you. Yeah. And we'd serve up the news, and there it is. If you don't like it, we'll stuff it, But what we do now is we no longer do TV or radio. We do this as a podcast, but it's actually radio and TV all packaged into one studio here, and I talk to you. But the great thing is you talk to me too. You could call me right now. 0800 863 293. You can ring me right now, and you can be live on social media right around the country. You can text me, you can email me, you can do anything like that. You can contact us through all the details here. It's easy. This is what everyone says was going to happen, which is modern, and we've worked really hard to get this product to here, right? Which is a live podcast that is posted later, and we talk to you, but you can talk to us as well.
We're optimizing it right now. That's what we're doing.
What does that mean?
We're optimizing it for the best viewership experience.
Correct.
Right?
We're taking it to where live where we think the people are.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy Forrester. I mean, I'm going to cut to the chase here. This guy Forrester, Zarina, and Isaac out here. They've created this show. Like we haven't got this massive budget. We've got no money, and we've done this.
Took says going to the prime time. Exactly right.
Prime time.
My dad messaged me last night, Duncan, and he said Duncan got traded to the loser team on CTI.
I got traded. I called them a cult. I called my team a cult. So, did you see my pass though?
I haven't seen it, but my dad said to watch it. He said I've been watching Duncan, and he got traded teams. So.
Yeah, because they think I'm useless, so they traded me. But what I was doing was, this is CTI, so you have to come up with a strategy. I'm foxing, right?
Yeah.
So if you go out there and say I'm a superstar, guess what happens? Poof. Yeah. You get done. You've seen the brilliant netballer go. You've seen Dumity, all these really competent people going. So I'm coming across as someone who can't do anything, and I'm still there. You see what I mean? The battle is to stay. The battle of CTI is to stay out of elimination. Right? Yeah. So I haven't been put up for elimination. Cully hasn't been put up for elimination. We're old and useless, but are we?
Yeah. You play that. Well, whatever happens, you play that character brilliantly.
You prick! Really? Yeah. Well, I did enjoy the rugby.
I'm gonna go home and watch it tonight.
I wanted to poleaxe Dumity, but I couldn't quite get near him. But anyway, have a look. I mean, I'm enjoying it, and I'm still there. Right? Does that explain what I mean? I'm really proud of you guys, like what you've created here. I don't know what the future is, and we're going to the evenings and that sort of thing. But you're incredible young people.
Thanks.
That deserve the best jobs in the world because you've created this. For an old joker like me who stands here and rabbles on, people listen and watch and stuff. So thank you for everything you do. It's almost funereal. I mean,
appreciate it, mate.
That's us, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, live with Leicester Oil. The premium New Zealand-made fish oil supplement backed by a study. Support joint, heart and brain health. Use code Duncan for 10% off. Abouthealth.co.nz. Take as directed. Read the label About Health Auckland. 0800 999 309. And even these guys have decided to back me to stay in the game. Without these guys, it'll look like this. There'd be no one here. Okay, so they've supported us, and thank you so much. If you want some of their products, which are good, you can call right now, 0800 999 309, and the fish oil stuff. See, my knee's even better as a result. That's us. This will be available as a podcast very, very shortly on Rover, or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for all your feedback and support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. To my team, Isaac, Forrester, Zarina, Maddie, thank you guys. We'll do it all again tomorrow. This isn't a dress rehearsal. Life is no curtain raiser. You've got one life. Go and use it. We live in a great country, so enjoy it. Take care, folks.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.